You stopped trying. You didn't notice when. And the experiment that explains why was first run on dogs in 1967, but then in 2016, the man who designed it admitted he got it backwards. Here are 5 ways the dog is still in you. In 1967, 2 psychologists named Martin Seligman and Seligman Maier ran an experiment that would define an entire branch of psychology for the next 50 years. They put dogs in 2 boxes. In the first box, the dog could escape a shock by pressing a panel. In the second box, the yoked control box, the dog got the exact same shock, but no panel worked. After 24 hours, every dog got moved to a third box, where escape was easy. The dogs from the first box escaped. The dogs from the second box laid down and took the shocks. They had learned, the researchers said, that nothing they did mattered. They called it learned helplessness. There's a door. Your hand is on the knob. You're allowed to open it. Nobody told you that you're not. But you stand there, scanning the room behind you, waiting for someone to give you the nod that isn't coming. The nod was never coming. You've been waiting your whole life for a permission slip you could have written yourself. This is the first signature of learned helplessness in adults, a default of stillness in front of any door that doesn't have a sign. The brain that watched outcomes get decided by other people learned that movement is risky and permission is safe. Something goes wrong. Your name isn't on it. Your hands aren't on it. But the sentence forms before you can catch it. I'm sorry. As if absorbing the failure into yourself is the only way to make it stop. The apology isn't kindness. It's a control move from a brain that learned somewhere early that taking the blame is the only variable it can still affect. If you can't change what happens, you can at least be the reason it happened. You can be the punishable one. You can be the one with the lever, even when the lever is just shame. Helplessness, dressed up as accountability, is still helplessness, but it gives the nervous system the illusion of control, and the illusion is what keeps the apology coming back. You haven't started yet. You're already running the version where it doesn't work. You walk yourself through the rejection, the wrong move, the embarrassment in such detail that the actual attempt feels redundant. The brain calls it preparation. It's something else. It's pre-grief, performed daily, for outcomes that haven't earned grief yet. The function isn't predictive. The function is anesthetic. By the time the real thing arrives, you've already taken the dose. Nothing can hurt you because you got there first, and nothing can change you either, because every door you imagine yourself walking through, you've already imagined yourself getting turned away from. Someone cancels. The deadline gets pushed. The opportunity disappears. And the first thing your body does before the disappointment is exhale. Something in you got lighter. That lightness is information. It's the nervous system reporting that effort was the cost, not the prize. A brain that's been worn smooth by outcomes it couldn't predict learns to prefer no outcome at all. Disappointment is something that happens after you tried. Relief is something that happens when the trying gets cancelled for you. Notice which one your body recognizes faster. That's the receipt. I'm just lazy. I'm just tired. I'm just me. The labels start small, and then they become the wallpaper of who you think you are. But laziness has a slope. Tiredness has a rhythm. Personality, the version they're hiding inside of, is supposed to have edges. What you're calling you might just be a battery at 15% for the last 14 years. The brain that lives in a default freeze stops describing the freeze as a state. It starts describing it as a self. And once it's a self, you stop looking for the off switch. You stop because nobody charges a personality. Nobody plugs themselves in. The trick the freeze plays is convincing you it isn't a freeze. It's just the room temperature of being you. In Seligman's original write-up, 2/3 of the yoked dogs froze on the second day. 2 out of 8 were the only ones that fought. The numbers were repeatable. The conclusion seemed obvious. The dogs had learned to be helpless. For 50 years, that conclusion stood. It got pulled into textbooks. It got applied to depression, to motivation, to abusive relationships, to corporate burnout. Millions of people heard the phrase learned helplessness and used it to describe themselves, And then in 2016, Seligman Maier, the man who ran the original experiment, co-published a paper called Learned Helplessness at 50, Insights from Neuroscience. In it, he wrote a sentence that should have ended 1,000 seminars. The original theory had it backward. Helplessness isn't learned. It's the default. It's what mammalian nervous systems do when shocked by an environment they can't predict. The dorsal raphe nucleus, a region in the brainstem, fires by default in response to aversive events, and that firing produces the freeze. What gets learned in the prefrontal cortex is the opposite, the prediction of being able to do something. Mastery is what gets installed on top of the freeze. The dogs in box 1 didn't learn to escape. They learned in advance that they could. You weren't broken by what happened. You were defaulted by it. The freeze isn't your character. It's your brainstem doing what every brainstem does when prediction fails. Mastery is a learnable signal. It does not arrive in big revelations. It arrives in small unpaid permission slips, a hand on a knob, a door that opens because you opened it. You are not the dog. You are the one who installs the predictions. Next week, the bystander effect. Why your brain disables the alarm when other people are around. Subscribe so you don't miss it.